Hey everyone, welcome to Lifegroup. Tonight we're going to be looking at the end of Acts chapter 4 and chapter 5. So we see at the end of chapter 4 that the church is filled with people who are generously serving one another. You might have remembered the scene where no one is needy because those who have are selling and giving to make sure that everybody within the church is looked after and there is no poor people amongst them. And then we were introduced to this guy who's called Joseph in verse 36, and he's nicknamed Barnabas, the son of encouragement, because this guy is such an encouragement. He selflessly lives the Christian life and just sells things and gives things away. And then in chapter 5 verse 1 we're introduced to Ananias and Sapphira, and they seem to be like Barnabas. So Barnabas is getting all this praise, and because he's so kind and generous and loving, and these Ananias and Sapphira seem to be doing the same. They seem to be generously selling things. But what we see in this story of Ananias and Sapphira that we're going to focus in tonight is we see people who are hypocrites. We see people who want the praise without actually serving. I guess Barnabas sold the field so that he could help others. They sell the field, they sell their property so that they can get praise from others. They're two-faced. And so you might remember on Sunday we looked at the story of Ananias and Sapphira. We saw Ananias has come up with this plan, and Sapphira is in on it as well, that they're going to keep some of this money back. They're going to pretend to be generous, but they're going to keep some money back. They're trying to have a foot in both camps. They want to look like they're godly and serving Jesus, but they want to live for themselves as well. They're trying to pretend that they are godly to other Christians. And Peter sees through it and says, look, the reality is that as the church gathers, you're not just lying to some other people, some random people. You're lying to your brothers and sisters. And more than that, you are lying to God himself. You're lying to God, the Holy Spirit. We saw on Sunday two things in particular. So Ananias and Sapphira, they both lie and then they drop down dead under God's judgment, acting as a monument for all kind of Christians to look back on and to see that the church isn't just some social club. It is holy ground, just like in the Old Testament, the Holy of Holies. The gathered church is where God is dwelling with his people, and we should treat it as such. I guess there are two responses. We see two different ways to relate to God. We see hypocrisy, and we see humble fear in this passage. And I think what Luke wants to do is to draw us to see that God dwells with his people. And so the way to respond in church isn't with hypocrisy, but humble fear. And so tonight we're going to be thinking a bit about what does that look like to understand that church isn't just a social club, and to think a bit about hypocrisy as well, and how can we as a church move away from hypocrisy and grow towards this kind of humble fear of the Lord, trembling before him, acknowledging that he is the God who saves. And so not putting on a face before him or his people, but lovingly serving one another. So I hope you have a great night. If you do have any questions that you don't feel are answered, feel free to just contact me. I'd love to help out. Have a good night. See you now. Bye-bye.